What's up everybody, Demon back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're doing something totally different. I'm kind of dying at the moment. My allergies are killing me, so you're gonna have to bear with me through this one if I sound a little nasally or dead. That's why. I'm also kind of dead because I have so many finals that I'm in the process of. It's finals season, so you know how it goes. Which is why we're here today. It's finals season. So let me do one of my finals with you guys. This is a topic I've been meaning to discuss. I didn't have any plans to discuss it nearly as academically as we're going to, but I've been meaning to discuss stuff like this. Why not start out our discussions on the YouTube platform and by covering censorship on YouTube? Alright, let's get into it. Censorship is not new. It didn't take until February 2005 for censorship to start. Organizations and corporations, both politically and professionally, have been using their authority to censor individuals for hundreds of years. This suppression of people's speech and opinions has evolved into the modern day. In an era of social media, people are spending just as much time online as they are offline. Censorship has adapted and evolved to make up for the time people spend online. Here on YouTube, we see this firsthand on a daily basis, leading to many debates on the role censorship should play on the website. There are those who demand YouTube be strictly ran in order to prevent people from being both physically and emotionally harmed. Then there are those who argue that YouTube is a public forum and as such should be protected from censorship. They state there should be freedom of speech on the platform. I don't think it'll surprise anyone to hear that I'm here to argue for a middle ground. I think YouTube's attempts at finding a middle ground are justified, as they have been doing, but I do think there is room for improvement. That's right, as someone who's had to fight the YouTube censorship system numerous times, I'm actually going to be arguing for YouTube censorship. Let me explain. I need to start out by clarifying, most importantly right off the bat, the censorship I'm discussing in this video will pertain to YouTube's community guidelines. I am not talking about their copyright censorship. That is a whole nother can of worms, and that will take way too much time to unpack. So today we're simply talking about the revisions YouTube needs to make to the community guidelines so that they make a little more sense and their censorship can be justified under that. I'm also going to mention some things we as creators can do to help with this process and to help with the censorship process as a whole. It's important to note that YouTube can legally restrict any content it wants to. As stated by Daniel Orner, there should be no debate as to whether the First Amendment bars Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube from restricting speech. No government, no First Amendment claim. For those of you who don't know, YouTube is a private company owned by another private company owned by a different private company. Therefore, they are free to restrict whatever content they choose to. Arguments about social media censorship, specifically on YouTube, that focus on the First Amendment have a misunderstanding of the rights being protected. The First Amendment actually protects the rights of social media platforms to exclude speakers they disagree with or disapprove of for particularly any reason or for no reason at all. We can lay to rest any freedom of speech arguments right off the bat. It's more of a question of ethics. YouTube is the largest video sharing platform in the world. According to a report written by the Business of Apps, over 500 hours of content is uploaded every minute. According to this report, YouTube receives 2 billion monthly users. 2020 was also the first year YouTube ever disclosed their yearly revenue to the public. It was reported that YouTube generated $15.1 billion in ad revenue in 2019, including $4.7 billion in the fourth quarter. Simply put, YouTube is too large not to censor. There's way too much at stake and way too many users to allow unrestricted uploading. Censorship is the only way the platform can survive and the only way creators will continue to earn money. The thing that some people who argue against censorship on their videos don't seem to understand is that YouTube's hands are kind of tied in some respects. Although a lot of content is censored unfairly, and we will discuss that, lots of content that's demonetized is demonetized for a reason. YouTube needs to make advertisers happy. Advertisers don't want their ads played on videos that might compromise their brand values. Look no further than the Adpocalypse for your evidence. YouTube needs to keep advertisers happy so that they continue to return to the website, and the way they do that is by censoring content. If certain content wasn't censored, advertisers would eventually find out their ads were playing on these videos and they'd withdraw from the website, leaving that channel in the exact same demonetized position. Only in that case, everyone else would go down with them. If I'm not mistaken, that's actually what happened during the Adpocalypse too. This is why we have the community guidelines. The guidelines are meant to provide creators with a set of restrictions so they know how to navigate the platform. YouTube's community guidelines range from standard social media protection to vague terms that create more questions than answers and lead to potential censorship abuse. This is where we run into our first major issue with YouTube censorship. Lots of their rules need defining. There are so many vague policies that restrict content that can be considered controversial. Examples of potentially controversial content are videos that can be seen as violent, hateful, or harassment, but it extends to anything, really, anything that could be potentially controversial. YouTube's vague definitions of what's right and wrong were created to help provide discretion to the website. YouTube did this as a way to avoid having a set of black and white rules. By allowing leeway in what content can be uploaded, YouTube allows for a wider greater variety of what content can be posted on their platform. But this also leaves lots of room for uncertainty and error on both sides. Content creators may accidentally step over the line without knowing, and YouTube all the time accidentally censors content they didn't mean to. Because the platform is so large and so much content is being uploaded to YouTube every minute, artificial intelligence had to be implemented to help police the website. The issue with this is that machine learning doesn't understand the nuances of human behavior. This leads to the content ID bots censoring videos on a mass scale that don't always deserve to be censored. There's a great YouTube video that was made by the YouTuber Jabrails that I'll link down below. He has a perfect explanation of why this happens.
If neural networks are like a car, then data will be like the fuel or electricity.
Basically, the machine that's working, that's been implemented by YouTube, censors everything it can in order to make mistakes. The algorithm will only learn how to avoid these mistakes in the future once they're corrected manually. This was especially prominent on the platform back in 2017 when every video was getting demonetized. That was when the demonetization was first introduced, but this is still an issue today, and machine learning being implemented persists as a constant issue on the website. Until the algorithm functions as intended, YouTubers will continue to be used as lab rats. The company puts the people keeping it afloat in the line of fire constantly in order to test out these bots. And those bots take many forms. Sometimes they restrict comments or change the way your channel functions. Other times they censor videos or rearrange your entire workflow. Now occasionally, YouTube will introduce changes gradually. They will release tests on certain channels while the majority of content goes unaffected. We've seen this recently with YouTube's experimental applause button. This is how they should be doing things more often. They need controlled trials so that they can stay on top of the mistakes rather than mass releasing things that cause website shattering changes that take months to undo, especially when you're putting people's livelihoods in the line of fire. When you release these censorship bots and they demonetize videos and steal ad revenue from creators who desperately need that, you're not taking very good care of the people who are keeping you afloat. When a video gets claimed by the YouTube Content ID bot, several things happen to that video. Videos found in violation of community guidelines will be demonetized, or at least that was the previous system. Publicly, YouTube states that demonetization on videos result in the ad revenue made from that video being taken away. That video is deemed unsuitable for most, if not all, advertisers. It has been discovered, as a result of this, YouTube will no longer promote your video through its algorithm. This means that the video no longer reaches YouTube users. This is YouTube's primary form of censorship, and it's something they don't own up to. Rather than outright deleting these videos, they silence them. Creators who are demonetized see their analytics plummet as their video fails to reach YouTube users. Some users, such as Lemon, have discovered that YouTube can covertly censor videos through a similar process by avoiding the yellow $sign and simply ceasing to promote the video. I've got Lemon's channel linked down below, as well as some of my favorite videos from him. I highly recommend you go check this stuff out because he knows way more about this stuff than I do. The effects of YouTube censorship have been detrimental to their creators. One of my favorite channels, Dead Meat, runs into YouTube's formal censorship all the time. One of the most interesting looks into what large YouTubers think of demonetization came when Dead Meat's James A. Janice took to Twitter to vent about the system. He stated, "Right now, I feel like Team YouTube is stealing from me." He continued to expand upon this statement by saying, "Imagine having 90% of your paycheck withheld after you've done all the work and did everything you could to comply with the rules." This is a sentiment shared by hundreds of thousands of creators every day. YouTube's vague policies leave so much gray area that channels like Dead Meat get caught in the crossfire all the time. In fact, I'm worried that this video will get caught in the crossfire due to the gameplay I'm using for this commentary. Kind of why I picked the game. Kind of wanted to see what would happen. James is constantly taken to Twitter to announce that videos are tanking in views due to demonetization, or that he's in need of a last-minute sponsor to keep his new videos on schedule due to demonetization. Now, Dead Meat runs into censorship issues due to its coverage of horror movies and the violence that goes along with them. Even though he censors all of his own videos to comply with YouTube's community guidelines, the algorithm still takes issue with them. And it would be one thing if his videos were constantly censored by YouTube and they stayed that way. At a certain point, it would be clear that YouTube just isn't okay with that type of content, but that's not the case. YouTube loves Dead Meat's videos. Oftentimes, the manual reviewers working for YouTube are 100% okay with his content and uncensor them, but by the time they get around to that, the damage has already been done. The fact that YouTube's manual review team greenlights Dead Meat's videos indicates that the algorithm has made a mistake. It highlights the flaws in their system. Content creators shouldn't have to wait until after their videos are released publicly for them to get demonetized and the appeal process to start. YouTubers should be allowed to go through this process while the videos are private. This would skip the harmful censorship effects faced by channels like Dead Meat on a daily basis. Although the thing is, YouTube takes bias to some of these larger channels, and they do give him the opportunity to do that, whereas smaller YouTubers such as myself, we don't have that opportunity. We have to publish it, and then we run into the issues. Wouldn't it be nice if they could just roll out a whole system-wide update that would let all of us go through that private process, rather than just favoring some larger channels? Not even all the larger channels, just some of them, only some of the time. Not even like they do that with Dead Meat all the time. They sometimes have the same issues. As revealed in YouTube's fourth quarter letter to creators, YouTube CEO Susan, no one knows how to say her name, Wojcicki, I have no idea how to say that. She acknowledges the harmful effects that demonetization has on creators and has stated that they plan to address this through things such as self-certification and experimental advertising. This is a huge opportunity for YouTubers. Self-certification rolled out less than a month ago on a platform-wide scale, giving YouTubers their first opportunity to work with the YouTube algorithm rather than against it. If people blow off the self-certification process and simply approve their videos for all advertisers, the problems will persist. But if YouTubers take this time to actually self-identify the potential areas of issues advertisers may have with their videos, we could enter a whole new era of non-demonetization. Advertisers would know exactly what type of video you are uploading, and so the blame if things go wrong lies entirely on their shoulders. Then they can choose specifically what types of videos to run ads on, meaning they take full responsibility. If YouTubers play ball with this system, demonetization could become a thing of the past. There are still other aspects of YouTube censorship that need addressing. Violent content seen in horror movies and in video games isn't the only type of content being censored by YouTube. And as I mentioned, the loss of revenue may not be the worst part of censorship on this platform. In YouTube's attempt to please advertisers, they have started censoring sensitive content. Although YouTube intends to stop harassment and hateful content, their policing of controversial subjects has created controversies in and of itself. Videos talking about subjects such as, I don't even want to say these because I feel like I might get censored for saying these just because I know these are buzzwords that YouTube doesn't like, but we'll go for it. Videos talking about subjects such as suicide prevention, gay rights, and sexual harassment are being actively censored by the website due to the implications of their topics. YouTube isn't just censoring content it wants to censor, but the content that gets in the line of fire, as seen with a lot of that. The impact of this censorship goes way beyond the controversial and racist YouTubers. YouTube continues to make an effort to fix this problem to allow for these messages to spread on their platform. These steps towards undoing censorship can't be said for more right-leaning content. Before we continue this discussion, I want to make it clear that I'm staying politically neutral, as I kind of do in real life, so don't worry, it's not going to turn into a preachy political lesson here. I'm strictly going to be talking about facts and trends observed. In addition to their censorship of content that steps in the line of fire, a trend of YouTube starting to censor political opinions has also been noticed. A conservative YouTube channel operated by Prager University took Google to court in 2019 to argue they were facing censorship based entirely on the perceived identity and political viewpoints of the speaker, not the content of the speech. In instances like this, YouTube's right to censorship is less important than the question of should it be allowed or tolerated to apologize for the censorship of one political viewpoint while actively continuing to censor another. Personally, I don't think it should. YouTube should either censor both ends of the political spectrum or should only censor the dangerous content. You know, the extreme content on either end. YouTube advertises itself as a politically neutral force, and yet the evidence would suggest that isn't the case. The unrestricted threats coming from leftist communities aren't balanced against the heavily censored remarks made by the right. By the way, I'm not saying that everyone on the left is making threats. Once again, I'm staying politically neutral. I'm just stating facts, all right? Because I'm a pretty politically neutral person, I think I can safely say YouTube either needs to own up to their political censorship, and once they own up to it, they can keep doing it, or they need to start censoring equally on both ends of the spectrum rather than favoring one side. I don't think there's much bias behind me saying that either, because I'm not the one facing political censorship. Conservative censorship on YouTube doesn't stop with their restrictions of Prager University videos. This political censorship has expanded into news media as well. During live broadcasts of the Senate impeachment trial for Donald Trump, YouTube removed multiple right-winged channels while leaving left channels untouched. Although YouTube officially referred to the removal of these broadcasts as a mistake, some conservative media suspect that it was political censorship, as other channels streaming it remained online. YouTube has denied any political motivations behind the live stream removals, but their credibility has been called into question as a result of their conservative censorship trend. If it was only one thing, it wouldn't be an issue, but there is a trend of it. YouTube's subtle political bias is seen in their attempts to silence hate speech and harassment as well. The censorship of individual channels, such as Steven Crowder's, are examples of this. This particular censorship was noticed by conservative Senator Ted Cruz, who took to Twitter to comment on the situation, stating, "YouTube is not the Star Chamber. Stop playing God and silencing those voices you disagree with." Is that a good impression? I have no idea what that guy sounds like. Their political opinions aside, the question remains: what is YouTube saying by censoring further right-leaning individuals like Steven Crowder and Prager University by labeling their content as controversial and hateful? Does this censorship label the entire political party as hateful? Why is there a double standard that exists on the website? Or why not own up to it? These are questions YouTube is going to have to keep in mind when moving forward. Again, personally, I believe YouTube should either own up to their political motivations and face the consequences of that, or they should remain a true neutral party. The question that scares content creators the most is, what precedent is this setting? Even if the content creator agrees with the censorship of far right-leaning political channels, what this could lead to is something that should be considered. And we have seen what this could lead to, because there are a few extreme examples that show just how far YouTube is willing to take censorship of content. During an in-depth expose conducted by, once again, our boy Lemon, leaked documents and quantifiable data was presented to show how YouTube covertly censored Leafy is Here so harshly that his channel analytics plummeted beyond the point of recovery. A recent example of YouTube's extreme censorship was seen with the removal of the InfoWars channel due to its host being labeled a white supremacist. While cases like Leafy's harsh censorship are still being debated within the YouTube community, cases like Alex Jones's censorship are being debated in the political community. YouTube is a company that wants to protect its public image. Like most companies, they want to continue making money in the safest way possible. However, the steps they've taken to achieve this are very questionable. Covertly censoring content they don't like, such as Leafy's, is pretty shady by any standards. And their constant assault on channels who get caught in the crossfire revealed just how fragile their system truly is. I think YouTube needs to make massive revisions to their community guidelines to make it more clear what is and what isn't okay on the website. In this process, they can either own up to their subtle political biases or get rid of them, creating a website that is perfectly balanced.
This whole thing should be.
YouTube also needs to stop using the entire platform as a way to test out their censorship bots. Those should undergo small-scale trials until they're in a state where they're ready to be rolled out. Additionally, YouTube needs to improve their manual review system so YouTubers can have their content reviewed before the video gets released to the public as a way to avoid censorship. YouTubers also need to play ball to help YouTube help us. We need to utilize the self-certification system that was recently implemented, and we can also voice our concerns with the system. Although YouTube refuses to listen to any individual, if enough people cry out, they will take notice. YouTube censorship strips some of their ability to make money while stripping others of their voice. But ultimately, it is still kind of needed for long-term sustainability on the platform. It's all a matter of how that censorship is navigated. So there you go, that's the video. There we go, we did it. We made it to the end. What do you guys think? I don't know, I feel like a lot of you guys on this channel, the few people that watch my videos like this, feel like you guys are generally on the same page with me. A middle ground needs to be achieved. But you know what? Let me know down below. I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for you. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man, out.